All right, welcome back. We are in the Systems of Equations packet. Now I'm on page 8, and that is specifically talking about horizontal and vertical lines, which is a nice little thing to know about because we're eventually going to get into where our two lines are going to intersect. So it's nice to know when one is horizontal and one's vertical. So if you look at the top, horizontal lines are always going to be y equals and then some number. And then vertical lines, so remember horizontal lines are left to right. Vertical lines are going to be x equals and then some number, and remember vertical lines are always straight up and down. So it says, for example, the graph y equals 2. Okay, so I kind of have that one as well. So it says the y value is always 2 regardless of the x value. The graph of y equals 2 is a horizontal line 2 units above the x-axis. So that means it doesn't matter what you put in for x, y is always going to be 2, 2, 2. Okay, I could put in 1, 2, 3 for x. You could put in 20, 30, 40. It doesn't matter what you put in for x. That y value always has to be 2, 2, and 2. And then when you go ahead and graph it, so let's say I did put in 1, 2, and 3 for my x values. My x value is over 1 and up 2. My next one is 2, 2, so over 2, up 2. My next one is 3, 2, over 3, up 2. So even if you know it's just with these 3 points, it's clearly making a horizontal line of y equals 2, which you can see in the example they give you as well. And then vertical lines, so this one is x equals 3. So that means that no matter what y is, x is always going to be 3. So let's take a look at the example they give you down on the bottom, and that says x equals negative 3. So if you can find number 13, it says graph the equation, draw and label the axes. So you need to take a second to just kind of break up your block that you have and make a y-axis and an x-axis, kind of like I have, because they just gave you like a blank grid here, so you need to put in an x and y-axis. And so I'll give you a second to do that. So if this line is x equals negative 3, then that means that every x value has to be negative 3. And so in this, it looked kind of like this if you're thinking about it out loud, because this is your x coordinate and that's your y. So since the graph is really small, let's use numbers like negative 1, 0, and 1 just to kind of keep it nice and small. Okay. You could put in anything, but our graph is tiny. So on my graph paper, like you have your paper in your packet, I've got negative 3, negative 1. So I'm going to go over negative 3, down negative 1. So there's my first point. Then I've got negative 3, 0. There's my second point. And then I've got negative 3, 1. Now, you might be saying, well, what if I didn't pick the same numbers as you? That's okay, because your line is still going to be vertical, and it's still going to be at the point of negative 3, and it's just going to go up and down. It's going to be a vertical line that represents x equals negative 3. So even if you picked points that were higher up on the y-axis or lower, it's okay. It's still going to make a vertical line. All right, I'm going to leave that one on there just to show contrast between our horizontal and vertical lines. So the next one is y equals 3. So if you want to go over, and while I'm setting up my board, you can set up your axis, your x and y, and just a couple numbers. So if this one says y equals 3, then that means that my y coordinate is always going to be 3. So it's going to look something very similar to this. So again, you can put in anything you want for your x values. I'm going to stick small and go negative 1, 0, and 1. So I just made up x values to graph. And then I'm going to go ahead and on my grid, which I left the other equation on there just to show, I'm going to go ahead, so negative 1 and up 3. There's my first point. 0, comma 3 means I'm going to stay at the origin and then go up 3. Looks like that. And then my last one is 1, 3. So I'm going to go over 1 and up 3. So there are my 3 points. And you can kind of see that horizontal line starting to form. So this one is y equals 3. So now you can see kind of the difference between what x equals a line is and then what y equals the line is. I always kind of remembered it was just the opposite of what I thought the y-axis was. So the y-axis is supposed to be up and down. A line that's always y equals 3 means it's kind of stuck at that point and it's horizontal. It'll take you a little while to remember. You'll figure some things out that'll help you remember it though. All right, let's take a look at number 15. So number 15 you may or may not have to graph. Let's check it out though. It says a vertical line, so we know vertical means up and down, passes through the point negative 3, 5. So I've got my x and my y coordinate kind of labeled. And it says, what is the equation of the line? So negative 3, 5. So I'm going to go over 1, 2, 3 to the left, and then up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So here's my point. And it says that there's a vertical line passing through it. So I know vertical means it's going to go up and down. So it's going to look something like this. So I have to decide, is it going to be x equals or y equals? So right now, this point, I'm going to kind of extend it out. If you notice, it looks like the y values are changing, but the x value is always at 1 to negative 3, right? So our line is going to be x equals negative 3. So that means it doesn't matter where you go up and down the y-axis. My line is always going to be stuck at that negative 3 point for x. All right? So on that, it says, what is the equation of the line? We're just going to write x equals negative 3. The next one says a horizontal line, so we know that's going left and right, passes through the point negative 4, 3. So I'm going to go over 1, 2, 3, 4, and up 3, 1, 2, 3. I would recommend, like in the beginning for these, you'll see me plotting them and kind of looking at them. I think it's helpful. You can just visualize it, some of you, and that's fine. But if you need help, I think plotting it always helps. So here's negative 4, 3. We're making a horizontal line, so we know that's going to be going left and right. So I'm going to go ahead and put a couple more next to it and kind of connect it. So I made the plot, the point we know that's plotted is the biggest one, and it's going left and right. So it says, what is the equation of that line? So what's staying the same each time? My x values keep going left and right, but my y value is stuck at what point? It's stuck at 3, right? So it's going to be y equals 3. So again, if you already knew that, that's great. All right, our last one. Where do the lines x equals 5 and y equals negative 3 intersect? Okay, so again, some of you might be able to visualize this and know right away, and others of you might be struggling. So the equation x equals 5, so that means that at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, x is always 5. And this is great because this is kind of going to start helping us talk about points of intersection, which is our next topic. So here's x equals 5. It goes up and down. It's always at x is 5 though, so y values are different. The next one says y equals negative 3. So I'm going to count down on the y-axis 3. 1, 2, 3. And then here are my points for y equals negative 3. So you can kind of see it's definitely going to intersect, right? So there are my two lines, y equals negative 3. Okay, so I'm going to try and get it as close as I can here. You can see that point of intersection where the two lines intersect. That's what they're asking about. Okay, so they want to know what point is that. So we have to know that we're starting at the origin. We're counting over and then down, right? So I'm going to count over. I'll get it so you can see it. I'm starting here. I'm counting over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and down 1, 2, 3. So my point is 5, negative 3. So now you might have known a while ago, well, if my x is 5 and my y is negative 3, then they have to intersect at that point. That's wonderful, but I knew some kids might need to see it. So, all right, that's the end of page 8. So if you watched these two videos, I know they were a little bit long, but I wanted to make sure I explained them well. You're all set for today. There's no practice to do. You follow along in the packet, and I'll see you again on Wednesday. Have a nice day, everybody.